Welcome to Ask Win, everyone. And I apologize if I have a coughing attack in the middle of the interview. I have adult onset allergies, which sucks because trying to give interviews, trying not to have a coughing attack, doesn't mix. But enough of my programming announcement. I'm going to let Nathan take it away and explain more about what he does and why I brought him on.
Well, thanks, Win. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be calling back to the U.S. for once. I'm actually on a 2-year adventure around the world with my girlfriend and getting to know the world a little bit better. And I got to say, it's been a pretty awesome adventure so far.
So, where are you based now?
So I'm in Sri Lanka, which is a little island off the east coast of India right now. So I'm about, I would say, 11 hours ahead of you right now. So it's 7 p.m. right now.
No wonder why this interview is at 7:30 a.m. my time. Jeez.
Yeah. It was really the time conversion's always tough. It's always tough.
How did you swing this, I want to go around the world with my girlfriend adventure? Did you quit a corporate job or did you have a solo entrepreneurship gig? I want to know because my listeners are probably thinking, this is fascinating.
It's a little bit surprising myself, to be honest. I did it with just a full-time job, and I learned how to save really effectively. And I think I've almost cracked a code for some reason. When I first went on the trip, it was almost like did I put in a cheat code to be able to do this? But
yeah,
I really just was really effective with the resources that I had at hand. And to be honest, I had an engineering job, so I did have a relatively large income, but I didn't work 70 hours a week. I didn't grow a business. I really learned how to live enough with enough to be happy, to have a full life, but also be very cautious. Maybe not cautious, but use my resources to the fullest. And then that accumulated, and then I left.
Let's just say cautious. You were very cautious. Now you're traveling alone, basically. So you went from a full-time engineering job with a stable paycheck, mind you, to traveling alone, basically.
Exactly. And it's nice to not have to worry about working for 2 years too, which I think is the best part.
Yeah, which is the best part. And I am going to ask you to pick your favorite child question, but what has been the favorite country you have seen on this little adventure?
Oh man, that is a really difficult question because every country just has its own uniqueness to it. I really loved Germany, and I spent a lot of time there because my mom was born there, so I have a lot of family there and a lot of heritage.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time in Germany, but also I really enjoyed Southeast Asia a lot. So we took a big tour from Singapore through Malaysia and through Thailand, and we got to Vietnam, which I don't know if a lot of people know outside of when we had a conflict with Vietnam, but it's a wonderful country full of amazing people, and I really fell in love with it. And even though that I'm American and our countries were fighting, I didn't feel any hostility there, which was quite amazing.
Yeah.
So I think Vietnam is really underrated.
Now, I've been interested in asking a person who left their full-time job to go travel around the world. What would be the best advice for, let's say, the 2018 graduate who's just about to graduate college and in the next couple of weeks here, or maybe on Saturday, but that's not me. I graduate in 2019 with my journalism degree. But what do you say to the college student who's listening to this now, hopefully in the library, studying for their finals, and they want to go...
Hopefully studying for the finals, yeah.
Always study for finals, yes. And they want to go around the world, and they have the permission to go around the world. They haven't gotten a job offer yet. So what would you say to them?
I would say, of course, the cliche advice is to just do it. And I would say that, of course, yes, you have to commit, and that's by far the hardest part. But I think there is a massive myth in the fact that you need a ton of money to travel. And that's just not the case. Especially with tools nowadays, you're able to connect and use couchsurfing or Airbnb, or the hostels are really cheap. And I would say to any college student that's really serious about this would be to really dive into the resources that are available to you and start making an actionable plan to move. And not only that, everything changes with the different countries that you go to, but the resources can be recycled. So the world may seem really massive, but once you start to understand how to move very efficiently and effectively, then you can do it. So it's really that myth. I would tell people to focus on that myth that you need a lot of money, and then you also need to work while you're traveling. And I think both of those are really, really untrue and actually can hurt your experience when you don't have to, when you just pay for a hotel or you're working all the time to get the money to pay for the hotel. It can really hurt your experience. So a lot sorry, go ahead.
And I was just going to say, a lot of these colleges now offer study abroad trips. My stepsister has family in France, so one of the things she did is she went to study abroad for a good 2 semesters, and she loved it. So that's always up to you if you want to travel abroad and go study in another country. See if your college has study abroad trips. I know my college, which I'm taking online, so I don't necessarily get access to the study abroad trips, but I know my college, which is the Academy of Arts in San Francisco, and no, I'm not paid to say that they are my college, but I just love their program. But I do know they have trips to Italy, and they have trips to Spain, and they have trips all over the kingdom come.
Yeah, and I love the study abroad programs. And I was like you, engineering, I wasn't able to really go abroad, unfortunately. But if you have the opportunity, I really recommend it for a couple of reasons. It's a great way to start. If you are serious about travel, especially long-term travel, there's a lot that comes with that initial culture shock, especially if you go to France where they don't speak, you go to Paris and they don't speak English that well. Well, if you're in a structure like a study abroad program, and it's really nice to have that first experience, be in a structure like that where you're taken care of. You have the housing, you have the social support, and go for it. Especially if you have that chance. That's what college is for. You're supposed to learn. And what a better experience than to go abroad and not only learn your subject, but learn about the world a little bit.
Yeah, what a better experience than cultural immersion. I mean, if you want to learn a language quite quickly, go abroad where they don't speak English. So if you don't learn the language, you're not going to even eat because you're let alone learn text you can't eat. So what a great experience if you can afford to do it while in college, and then once you're out of college, go, if you have the blessing and don't have a job, go travel the world if you can.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really big place, and there's a lot of opportunities there. And what I always say, it's like the land of infinite inputs. You get something new every single day, and you learn so fast in things that you wouldn't expect. It's a great lifestyle.
Exactly. And you can also do mission trips down to foreign countries where they're so happy to see you, you won't know what came over you. I mean, I'm watching a journalist now that moves from Colorado to Atlanta, and she knows I follow her too. And she's down in Peru right now doing a mission trip with her family, and the pictures I'm coming out of then what she's saying is absolutely phenomenal. So, and
there's so many different ways. You're right. There's so many different ways. One of my favorite. There's just so many ways to travel now. The internet really opened things up, and one of the weirdest things that I found in the resources is there's a house swapping service. So you could talk and chat with another family anywhere across the world and switch houses for like a month. So you get to live in another country and they get to live in your country for a month, and you have housing for free. It's just a mutual housing swap. And I'm like, that is crazy. I've never heard of that in my life. And for us in America, that's not, it's not that common, but in Australia, they love it. They love house swapping. They're all about it. So there's so many different ways to do it now. It's incredible.
Yeah. All about it. No, and you can find airlines cheap, and you can make all you have to do is use what I like to call the University of Google, and Google Airbnb in X, Y, and Z country and figure out their Airbnb system, or if you know a local, that's even better.
Yeah, there you go. And then you're on a plane and you're going to some island out in the Indian Ocean or somewhere, and it's going to be a great time.
Exactly. And so the reason why I brought Nathan on to you guys is because I wanted to know his story. And since it's June, we still have time to do this, although you can do this anytime, especially when you're in college. The college system usually goes on the quarter system or the full semester system, and they usually take a semester to travel abroad. And even in high schools and elementary schools, they have sister cities programs. I know where I teach, we have sister cities programs in Japan. We have sister city programs in France. We have sister city programs, I believe, in Germany. So even in elementary school, if your kids are well enough, they could go travel, and all that requires you guys to do is host a kid from another country for 2 weeks. They usually do it for 2 weeks.
It's cool. And I do want to also say a lot of people do travel when they're young. The classic gap year between high school and college, and then also after college and work. But anyone can do it. And I think that's a big myth that needs to be broken, because the more that I travel around the world, a surprising number of people are not in college. They're in their mid-20s. They're in their mid-30s. They're in their 40s, their 50s. And I see that from almost every culture except the U.S. And it makes me kind of sad because we don't run into a lot of Americans, especially our age, even younger. We don't run into a lot of Americans. And
No.
it's tough because we're not taught that in our culture. When you go to high school, you go to college, you get your job, and all of a sudden life takes hold. But when we've been traveling, it's been blowing my mind the number of people from Germany that just left for a couple years to go to New Zealand, and they loved it, and so they stayed. Or there is a family of two Russians that just had their first child, and it was 10 months old, and they were couch surfing with a host in Dresden, Germany. And families do this. All 5 of them go and live with another family that they met over the internet, and it's everywhere. But I think we are really misrepresented, and I really want to bring that back to the U.S. a little bit when I come back, but also just kind of break that myth that you can do it at any time, and the rest of the world is. Now, for granted that they are closer to each other, we are a little bit isolated, but it's possible. And I don't think that idea has sunk in yet into our culture.
Yeah. The idea of cultural emergence hasn't sunk in to our culture yet, and I wish the diversity factor has sunk in. And now, before I let you go, because I know it's 11-hour time difference there, do you have any questions for me?
So I have some questions for you, of course. When you think I would let you get off so easily? Come on, absolutely not.
Oh,
but I really,
I
really love to ask people why they do what they do. So you have started this podcast, and I'm sure you have a little business running behind it. But why do you have a purpose for yourself? Like what do you want to get out of this podcast for yourself?
Well, I want to get out of this podcast interviewing interesting and amazing people like you, and
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
The journalist in me, and no, I'm not kidding when I say that. The journalist in me, like the curiosity kills cat stories. I'm actually going back to school, as you guys know, to finish out my journalism degree. Yes, my original degree is in education. Yes, I love education, but I do not like the paycheck of it. And I'll be explaining that more tomorrow when I actually bring my boss on to interview me. This ought to be interesting, like public interview by your boss. But that is why I'm going back to school in my 30s to get a degree in creative writing and possibly my MFA, which is a master's in fine arts, and that's where I'm going to be stuck. I shouldn't say stuck because I didn't. This is my choice, and the journalist in me is the curiosity kills the cat journalist, and so I'm trying to not only inspire people, but I'm also trying to bring fascinating stories out of them too. Yeah,
and I love it because you love talking to people. You're getting into journalism. You're adding creative writing to your repertoire. But I think I love asking this question just for one reason, because it's so broad and I get so many different reactions to it depending on who I talk to around the world. And I think the more that I look back on American culture, people answer this question with work, and they have this identity with work. So you are going back to study, or you're getting into journalism and creative writing and podcasting, talking to people, where I talk to someone across the world and they go, well, I'm doing this to to get the money so I can go do something else. Like there's a different motive.
Yeah.
And I think
No,
when I took
that's
away from the
not my
question,
motive. That's not
yeah,
my motive. I'm trying to walk away from my teaching job and still have a stable job and be happy with the clear choice that I'm going to make, because my job, and I'm sorry for all the teachers out there who've heard this, but due to my job, we don't make a high enough paycheck, and I say we because it's all teachers. It's nothing to do with my disability. It's nothing to do with where I work. I told my boss that when I said to him, I'll quit my job in 3 years, and he goes, I could tell by his email, he goes, is it something I did? And I said, one, it's nothing to do with you. Two, it's nothing to do with the kids. Three, it's nothing to do with the administration. And the reason why I'm quitting my job is the paycheck, because the paycheck is absolutely sad. And my dad wishes that, now this is his words, not mine. We have this discussion practically every day now about how teachers in general need to get a bigger paycheck.
Oh, I completely agree.
Yeah.
They're one of the cornerstones of our society. You guys are the front lines of raising or teaching the next generation. And it's amazing that we don't pay our teachers enough, because
Exactly.
important.
Exactly.
So
and
important.
I have been talking to people around the world, and they say, well, when we have the same problem in the UK, we have this same problem all across the world, that we don't pay our teachers well enough. And those of you who are going into educational training in school, don't be surprised when you pop out of school with student loans. Thank you very much. And can't pay them off because of your paycheck.
Yeah. Well, another reason to go abroad and study, right? It's free over there. It's usually free in Europe, so go get your degree in Europe.
It's free. The education system here is a little screwed up, basically. Basically, I hate to say that because it's my own education field that we're talking here, but the education system is a little screwed up here. But there are student loans, which those can be the death of us, including myself. But there are great scholarships out there. You just have to look high and low. I'm getting half my program paid for by a disabled program that I'm actually working with. And the first day I met with them, I said, I have 2 loans and a grant set up, thinking that they weren't going to give me the news. They did. And they go, oh, we can help pay for your program. And I said, great, awesome. And then I got, as a grant coming in mysteriously, I don't know how I got those, but that's how I'm doing it, you guys. And I made a promise to myself, before I graduate, I'll pay my student loan back. I got one of them back. So one of them,
that's what I'm talking about,
historic, and then I'll pay the other one back before I graduate. So I don't have that student loan debt. But Nathan, you bring up a great point by saying that studying abroad is also also a good thing. I have a friend who I believe he's going to college in Switzerland, of all places.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
His father is French, so he can do it. But if you have immigrant parents, use their resources, because my biological mom immigrated from Canada. She actually immigrated from the Bahamas to America. So at the time, we were looking at getting me a dual citizenship of Canada and the U.S., which you can do, and I still need to figure that one out. And so if you have immigrant parents and you don't feel like paying the high cost of college here, ask your parents, can you get a dual citizenship?
Absolutely.
And then you can go anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and you can even get a passport for another country. My mom was born in Germany, and she doesn't have her EU passport, but if she went to go get her EU passport, since she was born in Germany and is now an American citizen, has her U.S. passport, but you can have two, just like you said, then I get that too, which is amazing. Or then I can apply, since my mom's an EU citizen or has an EU passport, then I can get an EU German passport, and that unlocks the entire Schengen zone Europe visa problem of you can only be in Europe for 90 days. So you can definitely do that and work the system. There's lots of things. It's a big, vast amount of information, but that's why you have to jump in. That's why you have to start. Because the only way to find your path is to start.
And use the University of Google. And I know for a fact that there are international ride-sharing companies like Lyft and Uber, so you can drive for them to make a little extra gas, or drive to Lyft and Uber here, and then save that money to go on an exciting excursion.
Right, exactly. And once again, you don't need a lot. It's amazing once you get started what you learn. I recommend everyone to do it. It's an amazing way to look back at your own culture, your own life, what you like about it, what you don't, and reassess. And yeah, come on, America, let's do this. Let's get going.
As Nathan said, I would love you guys to take a trip and report back to me, and then I'm going to, as part of my bucket list graduation trips, I'm trying to devise a trip to Lima, Peru, believe it or not. And
Lima, very nice.
Lima, Peru, and because I actually know a couple locals down there that actually wrote a book and came on my podcast, and so that's how this whole thing started. And one of the things I said to them is I would, me being a U.S. citizen and me having access to a big network, I would bring used medical equipment down. And so after I get my journalism degree, you guys, I'm actually going to be planning that trip, and I would actually request that you guys either send me money or send me used medical equipment, because half these countries don't have the medical equipment we do.
Oh, you heard it here first, everybody. So everyone listening, she's going to Lima once she graduates. So everyone hold her accountable. Don't let her get off.
Medical equipment down with me. I mean, you guys know that I had cerebral palsy, and I want to give back. You know, I will tell this story once again, and then I'll let Nathan go. But I actually got caught in customs with my mom going to the Bahamas.
Oh, no.
Now, it's interesting.
Good old customs.
I thought that it's an interesting story. We actually made it through, but the point of my story is the Bahamas, where my mom grew up, is a third world country. I mean, it's so corrupt down there, it's not even funny. That part is public knowledge. But one of the things, as we're sitting in the customs line, she's got her Canadian passport, which she didn't give up to become an American citizen. She was here on a green card, and one of the biggest fights I've had with her is, why did you not become an American citizen? And she's like, I believe in my Canadian roots, and I want to stay Canadian as long as I can. But the funny thing was, the Bahamian customs officer looked at me as if I had two heads, because I was sitting in a $1,000 wheelchair. He looks at me like I had two heads. He sees a woman in a nice shirt and Prada, thank you very much, Milan, Prada, and nice shoes, and he looks at me and thinks, you're a tourist, you're not going to help us. So that's why when I go to Lima, Peru, I'm bringing medical equipment down with me, because I don't want to get caught in that position again, where I'm sitting in a customs line in a $1,000 wheelchair, and yet the customs officers looking at me like, you're a tourist, you're not going to help us. So that was in 2009.
Yeah, that's never a good place to be, is stuck in customs line. Never a good place to be.
No.
So I'm glad you got out of it. I'm glad you got out of it.
Well, I'm happy too, but it's like, really, we're just here visiting family, and you're already giving me the googly eyes, because I'm going in from Atlanta. So always, when you're looking at international travel, always be respectful of that country, and always try to do what you can within that country.
Yeah, I completely agree. Even if it's just getting to know the people and talking to people, understanding each other. It's one of the best things to do, is to come a little bit closer. Bring the world a little bit closer.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, I definitely enjoyed having you on, and I hope
thank you.
I
enjoyed it too.
Your travels. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your travels. Now you make me jealous of traveling, and I hope I have enough funds to do one week abroad or 2 years abroad. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the next
everyone's different.
Yes.
I'm glad that you're going to Lima, and who knows, that could just be the start of your travel adventures. And it doesn't have to be 2 years. It doesn't have to be 1 week. It could be whatever you have. And I'm glad that more people are getting out.
I am super happy too. And let's do this, you guys. Let's take those trips abroad, and let's, especially when you're in college and college has access to wonderful destinations like they do. And those of us who were stuck in the careers like education and engineering, now is the time to go back to school. I'm doing it, so you guys should do it too if you really want a career change. And now is the time to travel. I mean, if you want to go experience the world and get out of the U.S. due to the political climate, go. I mean, there's ways to do it. So
there's no better time than the present, right?
There's no better time than
just kind of go out and do it.
And I just wish more people would go travel, and I hope Nathan's story inspired you to go travel, and you can always contact me, contact Nathan. Where can people find you, Nathan?
Yeah, well, I have a podcast and two. It's called Oyster World Radio, like the thing that you eat, or the world is your oyster. And you can contact me at my email. It's nathan@oysteryourworld.com. Or if you want to be really jealous, go to my Instagram, and that's nathan.wanders, where I keep all of my travel updates from the good to the bad to the in-between. So if you want to keep up to date on what's going on in my life, then check me out on Instagram.
Yeah. Go Instagram there. And not to say that traveling abroad is all roses. Not to say that traveling abroad is all roses. You'll have to be careful with your steps. And, of course, in the Bahamas, you have to be careful with your steps. And if you guys want to go start out with the Bahamas, that is perfectly fine. But just know you're dealing with a third world country. The Bahamas has a high poverty rate, and my family is trying to help the impoverished down there, but we're also trying to save the disabled down there. The last time I spoke to a disabled person down there, they said our Disabilities Act, which would be the Bahamas Disabilities Act, is still stuck in courts. And when I was going down there quite frequently, I stopped going in 2009, and that is true. So I'm now trying to get their Disabilities Act out of the courts, and it just makes me so sad to see all these disabled people all around the world and not having the resources that we do. And it's not the nature of the beast, it's just the way that the poverty line is set up. And so that's why I suggested you guys try, and those of you coming from the U.S., try and bring medical equipment down with you, because the people of that country will be so ever grateful. And that's what I'm going to try and do when I go to Lima, Peru, is try and bring medical equipment with me, or at least something, because I want to help the people of that country. And so I'll leave it at that, and we'll have all Nathan's information in the show notes. And I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode of Ask Win. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Win, and thanks for everyone listening. And I can't wait to hear about your travel adventures to Lima, the Bahamas, and beyond. Win, are you still there? Win? Gone?
The host has joined the conference.
Hi. Hi, Ben.